Hey, everyone. Get ready for a super cool story that's going to grab you and not let go. Imagine a super sunny day outside the biggest, fanciest hotel in the whole city. The sun is shining bright, making everything sparkle like gold. Big, shiny cars zoom up to the front, and people step out wearing suits so fancy they look like they're from a movie. These people walk around like they're the bosses of everything. They think they're the most important people ever. And one of them? His name is Victor Grayson. He's a super rich guy, a billionaire. That means he has so much money he could buy a million candy stores and still have cash left over. He's the big boss of a huge company, and he thinks his money can get him anything he wants. Anything. Even respect from everyone. He's loud, he's rude, and he loves it when people bow down to him, like, actually bend over and say, "Oh, Victor, you're so amazing." He's used to that all the time. Every single day, people do what he says because he's got all that money. But today? Oh, today is not like every other day. Something big is about to happen, and it's going to shake things up. Standing right there at the front door of the super fancy hotel is a guy named James Carter. James is a royal guard. That's a special kind of guard who protects really important stuff like kings or queens or super secret things. He's not loud like Victor. He's quiet. He's calm. He stands super tall, like a tree that won't bend even in a big storm. His uniform is neat and red, with shiny buttons that catch the sunlight. James is proud of who he is. He doesn't care how much money someone has, he's not going to bend or bow for anybody. Not even for a guy like Victor, who's dripping in cash like he just jumped into a pool of gold coins. Now, here's a fun question for you guys watching this. Yes, you. What would you do if someone super rich treated you like you're nothing, just because they have more money than you? Like, imagine they're laughing at you or bossing you around, acting like they're better than everybody else. Would you stay quiet? Would you talk back? Tell me what you'd do. Drop your ideas down in the comments below. I really want to know what you think. Oh, and if you like awesome stories like this one, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on more. Okay, back to the story. So, it's this bright, sunny day, right? The hotel is buzzing with people. The fancy cars keep rolling up, beeping their horns. The air smells like flowers from the big pots outside the doors. Victor Grayson steps out of his huge black car. It's so shiny you could see your face in it. He's wearing a suit that probably costs more than a house. His shoes click on the ground as he walks, loud and sharp, like he wants everyone to hear him coming. His hair is slicked back, and he's got this big, smug grin on his face like he knows he's the king of the world. People around him nod and smile, scared to make him mad. They're used to him being the big shot. He loves that. He expects everyone to treat him like he's the most special person ever. And when they don't, oh, he gets mad. Really mad. Victor walks up to the hotel doors, his head held high. He's got his hands in his pockets, whistling a little tune, acting like he owns the whole place. And there's James, standing right at the entrance. James isn't moving. He's like a statue, tall and strong. His job is to guard the door, to make sure everything stays safe. He's not there to bow or say nice things to people just because they're rich. Victor stops right in front of him. He looks James up and down, like he's sizing him up. James doesn't even blink. His eyes are locked straight ahead, like he's staring at something far away. Victor expects James to bow, everybody always does. He's used to guards and workers bending down, saying, "Yes, sir, Mr. Grayson." But James? Nope. He just stands there, still as a rock. Victor's grin fades a little. His face twists up, like he just ate something sour. He doesn't like this. Not one bit. "Hey, kid," he snaps, his voice loud and mean. "You know who I am?" He points at himself, like James is supposed to be amazed. Victor's waiting for James to jump and say, "Oh, yes, sir. You're the great Victor Grayson." He's waiting for that bow, that little dip of the head that says Victor's the boss. But James doesn't move. Not an inch. His face stays calm, like he didn't even hear Victor. His hands are behind his back, his feet planted firm on the ground. The sun keeps shining, the cars keep rolling by, but right here, it's like time stops. You can feel something big coming. Something exciting. Victor's eyes get narrow. He's not happy. Nobody says no to him. Nobody ignores him. He's Victor Grayson. He's got billions of dollars. He's got houses and planes and boats. People do what he says, always. But James isn't like other people. He's different. He's not scared of Victor's money or his loud voice. And Victor can't stand that. His cheeks turn a little red. He steps closer, so close you can see the shine on his fancy watch. I said, he growls, do you know who I am? His voice is sharper now, like a knife. He's trying to scare James, to make him back down. But James doesn't back down. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't even look at Victor. He just keeps standing there, tall and steady. The crowd around them starts to notice. People whisper to each other. Who's that guard, they say. Why isn't he bowing? They're curious now. Victor's getting madder by the second. He's not used to this. He's not used to someone standing up to him or really, just not bending down. He thinks money makes him the king, but James isn't playing that game. And that's when it all starts. That's when the story kicks off, like a rocket blasting into space. Victor's mad. James is calm. The sun's still shining, the fancy hotel doors are wide open, and something huge is about to happen. You can feel it in the air, like when you know a storm's coming but the sky's still clear. Victor thinks he's in charge. He thinks he can boss anyone around. But James has something up his sleeve. Something Victor doesn't see coming. Not yet. Let's zoom in a little more. Picture Victor standing there, his fancy suit all crisp and perfect. He's got a gold pin on his jacket that sparkles in the sun. His car is parked right behind him, so big it takes up 2 spots. The driver's waiting inside, ready to jump if Victor snaps his fingers. People are peeking out of the hotel windows, watching this little scene. They're used to Victor making a fuss. He's always loud, always showing off. But James. He's a mystery. He's not yelling or waving his arms. He's just, there. Strong. Quiet. Like a wall that won't move, no matter how hard you push. Victor's voice gets louder. Hey, kid, I'm talking to you, he shouts. A few people step back, scared of what's next. Victor's not the kind of guy who lets things go. If you don't do what he wants, he'll make sure you regret it. At least, that's what he thinks. He's fired people for less. He's yelled at waiters until they cried. He's the kind of guy who thinks the world spins just for him. And most of the time, it does. People bow, people smile, people say yes, sir, because they're afraid of what happens if they don't. But James isn't afraid. He's not like the others. He's not here to make Victor happy. He's got a job, and he's proud of it. That red uniform means something to him. It's not just a costume, it's who he is. Victor doesn't get that. To Victor, James is just a guy in a funny outfit, someone who's supposed to jump when he says jump. But James doesn't jump. He doesn't bow. He doesn't even look at Victor. And that's driving Victor crazy. The sun beats down, hot on their heads. A little breeze blows by, ruffling Victor's perfect hair. He fixes it quick, like he can't stand looking messy for even a second. James doesn't move. His uniform stays perfect, his buttons shining like little stars. The crowd's getting bigger now. People are pulling out their phones, snapping pictures. What's going on, they whisper. Who's that guard guy? Nobody knows yet. But they're about to find out. Victor takes another step closer. He's so close now you can smell his fancy cologne like money and lemons mixed together. He's taller than James, but somehow, James looks bigger. It's the way he stands, so sure, so steady. Victor's used to winning. He's used to people giving up fast. But James isn't giving up. He's not even starting a fight, he's just, there. And that's enough to make Victor mad. You're gonna wish you listened to me, Victor says, his voice low and mean. He's smiling, but it's not a nice smile. It's the kind of smile that says he's about to ruin your day. He thinks he's got all the power here. He thinks James is just some little guy who doesn't matter. But oh, he's so wrong. So wrong. And that's where it all begins. That's the spark that lights the fire. Victor's mad, James is calm, and the whole world's about to see what happens when a rich guy picks the wrong fight. What's James going to do? What's Victor going to do? You'll have to stick around to find out. This is just the start, and it's already getting wild. Keep watching, because this story's about to take off like a rocket. Okay, guys, buckle up. Things are about to get wild. So, Victor Grayson, the super rich guy we talked about, he's not happy. Not one bit. He's standing there in front of the fancy hotel, and James, the royal guard, isn't doing what Victor wants. Victor isn't used to that. Nope, not at all. Usually, everyone listens to him fast because he's got tons of money. He's the kind of guy who yells at waiters just because he thinks it's funny. Like, if his food takes too long, he'll shout, "Hurry up, you slowpoke," and laugh while the waiter runs off scared. Or sometimes, he fires people from his big company just to feel like he's the boss of everything. One time, he fired a guy for dropping a pen. Can you believe that? To Victor, that's power. That's fun. He loves being loud and mean, and he thinks everyone should jump when he says so. And right now, he thinks James is just a nobody. A guy in a fancy red uniform with shiny buttons doesn't mean anything to Victor. To him, James is like a little toy soldier, someone who's supposed to do tricks when Victor snaps his fingers. Victor's standing there, his shiny shoes clicking on the ground, his suit all perfect and expensive. He looks at James and expects him to bow. You know, bend down low and say, "Oh, yes, Mr. Grayson, you're the best." That's what Victor's used to. That's what he wants. So, when James doesn't move, Victor gets mad. Really mad. His face twists up like he just bit into a sour lemon. He steps closer, so close you can see the gold pin on his jacket shining in the sun. "Bow, or you're done," he growls. His voice is loud, super loud. It bounces off the hotel walls, and everyone nearby hears it. People stop walking. They turn their heads. Some peek out from behind the big flower pots by the door. Others freeze with their fancy bags in their hands. They're all staring now, watching Victor and James. The air feels heavy, like something big is about to happen. Victor's waiting. He's sure James will back down. He thinks, this guy's just a guard. He'll do what I say, or I'll make his life awful. Victor's used to winning like that. But James isn't moving. He's standing there, tall and still, like a big oak tree that won't bend in the wind. His face is calm, like he's not even worried. But his eyes? Oh, his eyes are sharp. They're watching Victor, steady and strong, like he knows something Victor doesn't. Then James speaks. His voice is quiet, not loud like Victor's, but it's clear. "I don't bow to money," he says. Just like that. Simple. Strong. Those words hang in the air like a little bomb waiting to go off. Victor blinks. Did he hear that right? Did this guard, this nobody, just talk back to him? Victor Grayson, the billionaire? The guy with all the cash and power? Oh, no. Victor doesn't like that. Not one little bit. His cheeks turn red. His hands curl into fists. He's so mad he can barely think straight. Nobody says no to him. Nobody. And here's this guard, standing there all calm, saying he won't bow just because Victor's rich. That's like slapping Victor's pride right in the face. The crowd gasps a little. Someone whispers, "Did he really say that?" Another person giggles nervously. They can't believe it either. Victor's not used to being ignored. He's not used to someone standing up to him or really, just not bending down. His whole world runs on people doing what he wants because he's got money. Waiters, drivers, workers, they all jump when he yells. But James isn't jumping. He's not even blinking. And that makes Victor furious. He feels like a king who's just been told he's not important. And for Victor, that's the worst thing ever. So, what does he do? Oh, you're gonna love this. Victor loses it. He totally flips out. That smug grin he always wears, the one that says, "I'm better than you," comes back, but now it's mean. Super mean. He raises his hand, quick as a flash, and slap. He hits James right across the face. Hard. The sound echoes crack, like a whip snapping in the air. Everyone around them gasps loud this time. Oh, they say, hands flying to their mouths. People step back, eyes wide. A lady drops her fancy purse, and it clatters on the ground. Nobody saw that coming, not even a little. Victor just slapped James, right there in front of everybody, like it's no big deal. Victor grins even bigger now. He thinks he's won. He thinks he's shown James who's boss. You'll regret that, he sneers, his voice all slimy and proud. He turns away, brushing his hands together like he's wiping off dirt. He starts walking off, his head high, his shoes clicking again. To him, it's over. He's the big winner. He's Victor Grayson, and nobody messes with him. He's sure James is scared now, ready to cry or run away. Victor's laughing inside, thinking, that'll teach him. Nobody says no to me and gets away with it. He's so full of himself, he doesn't even look back. He's already planning to tell his rich friends about this later, over fancy drinks, laughing about the stupid guard he put in his place. But here's the thing, here's the big thing. James doesn't even blink. Not once. That slap? It hit him hard, sure. His cheek turns a little red where Victor's hand landed. But James. He's like a rock. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't yell. He doesn't even step back. He just stands there, tall and steady, like nothing happened. Slowly, he lifts one hand and wipes his cheek like he's brushing off a bug. Calm. Cool. His eyes stay sharp, watching Victor walk away. He doesn't say a word. Not one. But you can tell, oh, you can tell something's going on inside his head. Something big. Something huge. The crowd's buzzing now. People are whispering louder. Did you see that? One guy says. He didn't even move, says a lady in a big hat. They're shocked. They thought James would fall over or run off crying. But nope. He's still there, standing strong. Victor's walking away, thinking he's the king of the world, but the people watching? They're starting to wonder. Who is this guard? Why didn't he back down? Why didn't he get scared? Something's not right. Something's brewing, like a pot of soup starting to bubble on the stove. It's slow at first, but it's getting hotter. And it's way bigger than anyone expects, especially Victor. Let's zoom in a little. Picture it, Victor's fancy black car is still parked nearby, its engine rumbling soft. The driver's peeking out the window, wondering what's going on. The sun's still shining, making everything bright and hot. James's red uniform glows in the light, those shiny buttons sparkling like little stars. His cheeks got that red mark now, but he doesn't care. He's not mad, at least, he doesn't look it. He's just watching. His eyes follow Victor as he struts off, that smug grin still plastered on his face. Victor thinks he's untouchable. He thinks money makes him the boss of everybody. But James knows something Victor doesn't. And that's where the tension comes in. That's where it gets exciting. The people around him can't stop talking. A kid tugs his mom's sleeve and says, "Mom, why'd that guy hit him?" The mom shushes him, but she's staring too. A man in a suit pulls out his phone and starts recording, whispering, "This is crazy. They've never seen anything like this. Victor's the big shot around here. He's the guy who yells and gets his way." But James. He's not playing that game. He's not bowing, he's not running, and now he's not even reacting to a slap. What's his deal? What's he thinking? The crowd wants to know. And deep down, you can feel it, they're starting to root for him. Just a little. Because who doesn't love it when the loud, mean guy gets a surprise? Victor's almost at the hotel doors now. He's waving at someone inside, acting like nothing happened. To him, this is just another day of being the big boss. He's already forgetting about James, thinking he's some nobody who'll disappear. But James isn't going anywhere. He's still standing there, right where he was, his feet planted like they're glued to the ground. His hand drops back to his side after wiping his cheek. His face is still calm, but those eyes, those sharp, steady eyes, they're locked on Victor. He's not done. Not even close. And that's what makes this so tense. Victor thinks he's won, but he hasn't. Not really. James didn't fight back, not yet, but he didn't lose either. He's like a quiet storm, building up slow. You can't hear it yet, but it's coming. Victor's strutting around, full of himself, but he doesn't see what's right behind him. He doesn't see James watching. He doesn't feel the tension growing, like a rubber band stretching tighter and tighter. Something's about to snap. Something big. And when it does, oh, it's going to be wild. The crowd's still whispering. The air's buzzing with excitement. Nobody knows what's next, but they can't look away. Victor's money didn't work this time. His loud voice didn't work. Even his slap didn't work. James is still standing, and that's driving Victor crazy even if he doesn't know it yet. This isn't over. It's just starting. And whatever's brewing, it's going to be bigger than anyone expects. Bigger than Victor's fancy cars, bigger than his piles of money, bigger than anything he's ever seen. Stick around, because this is about to get good. What do you think James is going to do next? So, Victor's walking away now, his fancy shoes clicking louder than ever. He's got that smug grin stuck on his face, like he just won a big prize. To him, slapping James was like squashing a bug easy, quick, done. He's already thinking about his next move, like bossing someone else around or bragging to his rich pals later. He waves at a guy inside the hotel, some fancy friend in a suit, and laughs like nothing's wrong. The crowd's still buzzing around him, but he doesn't care. He thinks they're all staring because he's so great. Look at me, he's thinking, I'm Victor Grayson. Nobody messes with me. He's so sure he's the king of this moment. So sure he's untouchable. But here's the thing, James isn't moving. He's still standing right there by the hotel doors, tall and steady. That slap hit him hard, sure. His cheeks got a red mark now, like a little handprint glowing on his skin. But James. He's not crying. He's not yelling. He's not even rubbing his face like it hurts. He just wiped it once, slow and calm, and now his hand's back by his side. His red uniform shines in the sun, those buttons twinkling like tiny lights. His face is still cool as ice, but his eyes? Oh, those eyes are locked on Victor. Sharp. Steady. Watching every step Victor takes. It's like James is a cat, and Victor's a mouse who doesn't know he's being hunted yet. That's what makes this so exciting. Victor thinks he's won, but James isn't done. Not even close. The people watching can't believe it. They're still whispering, pointing, talking fast. He didn't even flinch, says a guy with a big camera. Who is that guard? Asks a lady holding a fancy purse. A kid jumps up and down, tugging his dad's arm. Dad, why didn't he hit back? The dad shrugs, eyes wide. Nobody knows what's going on in James's head, but they can feel it. Something's coming. Something big. The air's thick with it, like when you're waiting for a fireworks show to start. Everyone's holding their breath, wondering what happens next. They thought James would back down after that slap. They thought he'd run off or bow or something. But nope. He's still there, strong as ever, and that's got them hooked. Victor's almost inside the hotel now. He's laughing with that friend of his, a tall guy with slick hair and a gold watch. Stupid guard, Victor says loud enough for people to hear. Thinks he's tough. I showed him. His friend laughs too, nodding like Victor's the smartest guy ever. They're both so full of themselves, they don't even look back. They don't see James standing there. They don't see the crowd growing bigger. They don't feel the tension stretching tighter and tighter, like a balloon about to pop. Victor's sure this is over. He's sure he's the big winner. But oh, he's so wrong. Let's slow down a sec and paint the picture. The sun's high in the sky, blazing hot. It's bouncing off Victor's shiny car, making it look like a black mirror. The hotel doors are wide open, and cool air spills out, mixing with the warm breeze outside. Flowers in big pots smell sweet, but nobody's sniffing them now, they're too busy watching. James's red uniform stands out like a flag, bright and bold. His hat sits straight on his head, not even a little crooked from that slap. His boots are planted firm on the ground, like he's glued there. And that red mark on his cheek. It's fading a tiny bit, but it's still there, a quiet reminder of what Victor did. Victor's voice echoes as he steps inside. Get me a drink, he yells at a waiter rushing by. The poor guy nods fast and scurries off, scared to mess up. That's how it always goes with Victor, people jump because they're afraid. He loves that. He feeds off it. He thinks it makes him strong. But James James isn't jumping. He's not scared. And that's what's driving Victor nuts, even if he doesn't know it yet. He's so busy strutting around, he doesn't see the storm building right behind him. The crowd's getting louder now. More people are showing up, drawn by the whispers. What happened? A new guy asks, pushing through. Some rich jerk slapped the guard, someone answers. And the guard didn't do anything. Phones are out, snapping pictures, recording videos. A lady in a pink dress gasps, "That's Victor Grayson, the billionaire." A man nods, "Yeah, but who's the guard?" They're all asking the same thing: who is James? Why's he so calm? Why didn't he fight back? They're hooked, leaning in, waiting for the next move. It's like a movie, and they can't look away. James takes a slow breath. You can barely see it, his chest moves just a tiny bit. He's still watching Victor, even though Victor's inside now, out of sight. James's eyes don't waver. They're like lasers, cutting through the air. He's not mad, at least, he doesn't look it. He's not shouting or stomping his feet. But there's something about him. Something strong. Something quiet but powerful, like a river that looks still on top but runs deep and fast underneath. Victor doesn't know it, but he just poked a bear. A big, quiet bear who's not going to forget. The tension's thick now. You can almost touch it. The crowd feels it. They're shifting on their feet, whispering faster. What's he gonna do? A kid asks, eyes huge. I dunno, his mom says, biting her lip. But he's not scared. That's the thing, James isn't scared. Victor thinks he is. Victor thinks that slap was the end of it. But it's not. It's just the start. James isn't the kind of guy who runs away crying. He's not the kind who bows to money or yells back just to look tough. He's something else. Something Victor's never seen before. Inside the hotel, Victor's sitting down now, all comfy in a big leather chair. He's got his drink, some fancy juice with ice clinking in the glass. He's laughing with his friend, telling the story again. You should have seen his face, he says, slapping the table. Thought he was somebody. Ha! I put him in his place. His friend chuckles, sipping his own drink. They're loud, taking up space, acting like they own the whole hotel. People inside glance over, some rolling their eyes, some nodding like they're impressed. Victor loves that. He loves the attention. He thinks he's the star of this show. But outside, James is still there. The crowd's still watching. The sun's still shining, hot and bright. A little bird hops by, chirping, but nobody cares about that, they're too busy staring at James. His hands are behind his back now, clasped tight. His face is still calm, like a pond with no ripples. But those eyes, those sharp, steady eyes, are planning something. You can tell. He's not just standing there to look pretty. He's thinking. Waiting. Building up to something big. Victor doesn't see it. He's too busy laughing, too busy being loud. He thinks that slap was the end of the story. He thinks James is just some nobody who'll disappear. But James isn't a nobody. He's a royal guard, someone important, someone with a job that matters. And that slap? It didn't scare him. It didn't break him. It just lit a fire. A quiet fire, burning slow but hot. Victor's strutting around like he's king of the hill, but he doesn't know he's about to fall. The crowd's buzzing louder. He's still standing there, a guy says, pointing. Look at him, he's not even mad, says a girl with a big hat. They're amazed. They've never seen someone take a hit like that and just stay. Most people would yell or cry or run. But James. He's different. He's strong in a way Victor can't understand. And that's what's making this so tense. Victor thinks he's in charge, but he's not. Not really. James is holding the real power here, even if nobody knows it yet. A breeze picks up, blowing through the crowd. It ruffles James's uniform a little, but he doesn't budge. His hat stays put. His boots stay planted. He's like a statue, but alive, watching, waiting. Victor's inside, sipping his drink, telling his story. I slapped him good, he brags, laughing so loud it echoes. He thinks he's untouchable. He thinks money makes him the boss of everything. But James doesn't care about money. He doesn't bow to it. And that slap, It didn't win Victor anything. It just started a fight he doesn't even know he's in. The tension's growing. The crowd's getting bigger. People are leaning in, holding their breath. Something's coming. Something huge. Victor's blind to it, but James isn't. James is ready. And when he makes his move, oh, it's going to shake everything up. Victor's world is about to flip, and he doesn't even see it coming. Stick around, because this is just the beginning. What do you think James is planning? Tell me in the comments, I'm dying to know. Hey, everybody. We're back with more of this crazy story, and it's getting juicier every minute. So, a few days go by after that big slap at the hotel. Victor Grayson, the super rich guy with all the money, is feeling like he's on top of the world. He's sitting with his fancy friends at a big, shiny table in a restaurant that costs more than most people's houses. The table's covered with sparkly glasses and plates of food that look too pretty to eat. Victor's holding a glass of expensive wine. It's red and smells fancy, like something only rich people drink. He's laughing loud, his voice bouncing off the walls. I taught that guard a lesson, he brags, slapping his knee like it's the funniest thing ever. Slapped him right in the face, and he just stood there like a dummy. Ha! His buddies laugh too, nodding and sipping their own wine. They're all rich like him, with suits and watches that shine like the sun. Victor thinks he's untouchable. He thinks that slap made him the big winner, and he's loving every second of it. Nobody messes with me, he says, grinning wide. That guard? He's nothing. Just some guy in a silly uniform. I showed him who's boss. His friends cheer, raising their glasses. To Victor, one yells. The king of everything, another adds. They clink their glasses together, the sound ringing out like little bells. Victor leans back in his chair, all comfy and proud. To him, it's over. He slapped James, James didn't fight back, and that means Victor won. Easy peasy. He thinks James is scared now, hiding somewhere, too afraid to show his face. Victor's laughing, sipping his wine, thinking he's the toughest guy around. He's got no idea what's really going on. No idea at all. Meanwhile, back at the fancy hotel, James is doing his job like nothing happened. Every day, he's right there at the front doors, standing tall in his red uniform. The sun shines down, making his buttons sparkle. His hat sits straight on his head, and his boots are planted firm on the ground. He's quiet, like, super quiet. He doesn't talk much, doesn't smile much, just stands there watching the world go by. People walk past him, some staring at that little red mark on his cheek from Victor's slap. It's fading now, almost gone, but it's still a tiny reminder of what happened. Most people think James is just some regular guard. Poor guy, they whisper. Got slapped and didn't do anything. They feel bad for him, thinking he's weak or scared. But if you looked closer, really, really close, you'd see something different. Something cool. There's a spark in James's eyes. It's small, like a tiny fire starting to glow. You have to squint to catch it, but it's there. His face is calm, sure, but those eyes. They're alive. Sharp. Watching everything. He's not just some random guard standing there for no reason. He's got something going on, something big. You can feel it, like when you know a secret's about to pop out. James isn't mad or crying or hiding. He's steady, like a rock in a river, letting the water rush around him. Every day, he's back at his post, doing his job, but that spark in his eyes says he's not done with Victor. Not by a long shot. Days keep passing. Victor's still bragging. He's at parties, at big meetings, telling everyone about the dumb guard he slapped. He didn't even fight back, he says, laughing so hard he spills his wine once. What a loser. His friends keep cheering him on, thinking he's so cool. They don't care about James, they don't even know his name. To them, he's just a nobody Victor beat up for fun. Victor's loving it. He thinks he's untouchable, like a superhero who can't lose. His shiny black limo drives him everywhere, and he waves at people like he's a movie star. He's so full of himself, he doesn't even think about James anymore. That guard's history, he tells himself. Probably quit his job and ran away. But James didn't run away. Nope. He's right there at the hotel, every single day. People start to notice him more now. They walk by and whisper, That's the guy Victor hit. Some point, some stare. A kid asks his mom, why's he still here? The mom shrugs, maybe he's tough. And she's right, James is tough. Tougher than anyone knows yet. That spark in his eyes keeps growing, just a little, like a fire getting hotter. He doesn't say much, doesn't do much, just stands there. But if you watch him long enough, you start to wonder. What's he thinking? What's he planning? He's not just a guard. There's more to him. You can feel it. Then, one afternoon, something happens. Victor's shiny limo pulls up to the hotel again. It's big and black and so glossy you can see the clouds in it. The driver hops out quick, opening the door for Victor. Out he steps, all smug and proud, wearing a suit that probably costs more than a car. He's got sunglasses on, even though the sun's not that bright, because he thinks it makes him look cool. He spots James standing there by the doors, same as always. Victor smirks, that mean little grin creeping up his face. He can't help himself, he's gotta rub it in. He walks over, slow and cocky, his shoes clicking loud on the ground. Still here, huh, he says, his voice all sneaky and mean. Guess you learned your place, guard boy. He laughs, crossing his arms like he's the king of the world. He's waiting for James to look down or back away, to show he's scared. But James. He doesn't back away. He doesn't look down. He just stands there, tall and steady, like always. His face is calm, his hands behind his back. He doesn't say a word, not one. He just nods a tiny bit, so small you'd miss it if you blinked. That's it. Just a nod. Victor blinks, thrown off for a second. He expected James to mumble or run or something. But nope. Just a nod. Victor shrugs it off, laughing again. Yeah, that's right, he says, turning away. Stay in your place. He struts off into the hotel, thinking he's won again. He's so busy gloating, he doesn't see what's really happening. He doesn't see the spark in James's eyes get a little brighter. And here's where it gets fun, stuff starts happening behind the scenes. The crowd's still around, watching James every day. They're curious now. He's tougher than he looks, a guy whispers to his friend. Yeah, the friend says, Victor's a jerk, but that guard's not scared. They're starting to like James, even if they don't know why yet. And then, one day, someone sees something weird. A man in a suit, not a fancy rich guy suit like Victor's, but a plain, serious one, walks up to James. He's tall, with dark hair and a quiet voice. They talk for a minute, real quiet, like they don't want anyone to hear. The crowd can't catch the words, but they see it. James nods again, that same tiny nod, and the man hands him something small. Then the man walks off, disappearing into the busy street. Who was that? A lady asks, squinting. Dunno, her friend says, but it looked important. They're right, it is important. That spark in James's eyes? It's glowing now, stronger than before. He's not just standing there anymore, he's up to something. The next day, someone else sees him slip a small folder into his jacket. It's brown and thin, like something you'd keep papers in. He tucks it under his arm quick, before anyone can get a good look. A kid spots it and yells, "Hey, what's that?" But James just keeps standing there, calm as ever. He doesn't answer. He doesn't have to. The crowd's buzzing now, whispering louder. What's in that folder? They ask each other. What's he doing? Victor doesn't notice any of this. He's too busy gloating. He's back at the hotel all the time, strutting around, yelling at waiters, laughing with his buddies. That guard's a joke, he says over and over, sipping more wine. He thinks James is nothing. He thinks that slap was the end of it. But the clock's ticking. Tick, tock, tick, tock. Every day, James is there, quiet and steady, with that spark in his eyes. Every day, the whispers get louder. People are watching him now, not just Victor. They're starting to see it. James isn't just some random guard. He's got a secret. A big one. One afternoon, Victor's limo rolls up again. He hops out, smirking at James like always. "Hey, guard boy," he yells, loud and mean. Still standing there like a loser. James doesn't move, doesn't talk, just nods that tiny nod. Victor laughs and walks off, thinking he's so great. But behind him, a lady in the crowd whispers, "I saw him with that folder again." A man nods, and that guy in the suit, "Something's up." They're right. Something is up. James isn't just standing there for fun. He's waiting. Planning. That folder? That mysterious man? It's all part of something bigger. Something Victor's too blind to see. The tension's building now. The crowd's hooked. They're watching James every day, waiting for the next clue. That spark in his eyes is like a promise something's coming. Victor's bragging, laughing, thinking he's untouchable. But James is getting ready. The clock's still ticking, and every tick brings Victor closer to a big surprise. What's in that folder? Who's that man? What's James up to? Nobody knows yet, not even Victor. But it's gonna be wild. Stick around, because this is just the start. What do you think James is planning? Drop your guesses in the comments, I can't wait to see. So, Victor's still acting like he's the king of everything. He's driving around in his shiny black limo, yelling at people, and laughing with his rich buddies. Every time he talks about that day he slapped James, he makes it sound bigger and better. "I hit him so hard, he almost fell over," he brags, even though that's not true. His friends don't care, they laugh anyway, sipping their fancy drinks. They're at another big party now, inside a huge room with gold walls and sparkly lights hanging from the ceiling. Victor's wearing a suit with a bright blue tie, flashy and loud, just like him. He's got his wine glass in one hand, waving it around as he tells the story again. "That guard's a nobody," he says, grinning wide. "I showed him who's boss, and he just stood there like a scared little mouse." His buddies cheer, slapping him on the back. "You're the man, Victor," one yells. "Nobody messes with you," says another. They clink their glasses, laughing loud, thinking Victor's untouchable. To them, he's a superhero who can do whatever he wants. Victor loves it. He loves the attention, the cheers, the way everyone looks at him like he's so cool. He thinks that slap was the best thing he ever did. "I'll do it again if he gets in my way," he boasts, puffing out his chest. He's so sure James is scared now, hiding somewhere, too afraid to face him. Victor's head is bigger than his limo, and he's not even thinking about what's really going on. He's too busy gloating, too busy being loud. He doesn't see the storm coming. Not yet. Back at the hotel, James is still there, same as always. Every morning, he shows up, puts on his red uniform, and stands by the doors. The sun comes up, shining on his buttons, making them twinkle like stars. People walk by, some nodding at him, some whispering about that slap. "That's the guy Victor hit," they say, pointing sneaky like. James doesn't say anything. He just stands there, tall and quiet, doing his job. His cheeks all healed now, no more red mark, but people still talk about it. They think he's just a guard who took a hit and stayed quiet. "Poor guy," a lady says, shaking her head. "He didn't even fight back," a man adds. They feel sorry for him, thinking he's weak. But they're wrong. So wrong. If they looked closer, just a tiny bit closer, they'd see that spark in his eyes. It's small, but it's growing, like a little fire getting ready to blaze. James isn't weak. He's not scared. He's something else, something special. Every day, he's there, watching the cars roll up, watching the people go in and out. His hands are behind his back, his hat sits straight, and his boots don't budge. He's like a statue, but alive, thinking, waiting. That spark in his eyes says he's not just some random guard. He's got a plan. A big one. And Victor? Victor's too busy laughing to notice. He's too busy telling his stories to see what's right under his nose. One day, Victor's limo pulls up again. It's a hot afternoon, the sun blazing down, making everything shimmer. The limo's so shiny it hurts your eyes to look at it. The driver jumps out, quick as a bunny, and opens the door. Victor steps out, all smug and full of himself. He's wearing sunglasses again, even though it's not that bright, because he thinks it makes him look like a movie star. He spots James standing there, same as always, and that mean smirk creeps up his face. He can't resist, he's gotta say something. He walks over, slow and cocky, his shoes clicking loud on the pavement. "Still here, huh?" he says, his voice all slimy and mean. "Guess you learned your place, guard boy." He laughs, crossing his arms, waiting for James to shrink or look away. He loves this game, making people feel small so he can feel big. But James doesn't shrink. He doesn't look away. He just stands there, calm as a lake on a quiet day. His face doesn't move, no smile, no frown, nothing. He just nods a tiny bit, so small you'd miss it if you weren't paying attention. That's all he does, a little nod. Victor blinks, thrown off for a second. He wanted more. He wanted James to mumble or run or bow. But nope. Just a nod. Victor shrugs it off, laughing again. "Yeah, that's right," he says, turning away. "Stay in your place." He struts into the hotel, head high, thinking he's won again. He's so proud of himself, he doesn't even look back. He doesn't see the crowd watching. He doesn't see James's eyes following him. He doesn't see that spark getting brighter. And that's when things start getting wild behind the scenes. The crowd's always there now, hanging around the hotel, watching James. They're curious. "He's tougher than he looks," a guy whispers to his buddy. "Yeah," the buddy says, "Victor's a jerk, but that guard's not scared." They're starting to like James, even if they don't know why yet. And then, one afternoon, something cool happens. A man in a suit shows up. Not a fancy suit like Victor's, this one's plain, gray, and serious. The man's tall, with dark hair and a quiet voice. He walks right up to James, calm and sneaky, like he doesn't want anyone to notice. They talk for a minute real quiet, so quiet the crowd can't hear a word. James nods that tiny nod again, and the man hands him something small. It's quick blink and you'd miss it. Then the man walks off, disappearing into the busy street like he was never there. "Who was that?" a lady asks, squinting hard. "Dunno," her friend says, "but it looked important." She's right, it is important. That spark in James's eyes? It's glowing now, like a fire picking up speed. He's not just standing there anymore, he's up to something. The next day, someone else sees him do something sneaky. He's standing at his post, same as always, when he slips a small folder into his jacket. It's brown and thin, like something you'd keep secrets in. He tucks it under his arm fast, before anyone can get a good look. A kid spots it and yells, "Hey, what's that?" But James doesn't answer. He just keeps standing there, cool as ever, like nothing happened. The crowd's buzzing now, whispering loud. "What's in that folder?" they ask each other. "What's he doing?" Victor's still clueless. He's too busy gloating to notice anything. He's back at the hotel all the time, yelling at waiters, laughing with his buddies. "That guard's a joke," he says again, sipping more wine. He thinks James is nothing. He thinks that slap was the end of it. But the clock's ticking, tick, tock, tick, tock. Every day, James is there, quiet and steady, with that spark in his eyes. Every day, the whispers get louder. People are watching him now, not just Victor. They're starting to see it. James isn't just a guard. He's got a secret. A big, juicy secret. Let's zoom in a little more. Picture this, it's another sunny day, and Victor's limo rolls up again. The crowd's bigger now, people are hanging around just to see what happens. Victor hops out, smirking at James like always. "Hey, guard boy," he yells, loud and mean. Still standing there like a loser. James doesn't move, doesn't talk, just nods that tiny nod. Victor laughs and struts off, thinking he's so great. But behind him, a lady in the crowd whispers, "I saw him with that folder again today." A man nods, and that guy in the suit, something's up. They're right. Something is up. James isn't just standing there for fun. He's waiting. Planning. That folder? That mysterious man? It's all part of something bigger, something Victor's too blind to see. The crowd's getting excited now. They're watching James every day, waiting for the next clue. He's not scared of Victor, a kid says, bouncing on his toes. Nope, his dad agrees, he's got guts. That spark in James's eyes is like a promise something's coming. Victor's bragging, laughing, thinking he's untouchable. But James is getting ready. The clock's still ticking, and every tick brings Victor closer to a big shock. What's in that folder? Who's that man? What's James up to? Nobody knows yet, not even Victor. But it's building up, slow and steady, like a wave getting ready to crash. Days keep passing. Victor's still gloating, still yelling, still thinking he's the king. He's at another party now, telling the SLAP story for the 100th time. He didn't even move, he laughs, spilling wine on his fancy shirt. His friends cheer, not caring that it's the same old tale. They're too busy kissing up to him. Meanwhile, James is back at the hotel, standing tall. The crowd's whispering more every day. I saw him with that folder again, a lady says. And that suit guy was back yesterday, a man adds. The clues are piling up, small but sneaky. James isn't just a guard, he's something more. Something Victor's never seen coming. The tension's thick now. You can feel it in the air, like when you know a storm's about to hit. Victor's blind to it, too busy being loud. But James sees everything. He's quiet, he's calm, but he's ready. That spark in his eyes is a fire now, burning bright. The clock's ticking faster, tick, tock, tick, tock. Victor's world is about to flip upside down, and he doesn't even know it. What's James planning? How's he gonna surprise Victor? Stick around, because this is getting wild. Tell me your guesses in the comments, I'm dying to hear what you think. Hey, everyone. Get ready, because this is it, the big moment you've been waiting for. Everything's about to explode, and it's going to be wild. Picture this, it's a busy Friday night, and the fancy hotel is buzzing like a beehive. They're throwing a huge gala, a super big party where all the rich and important people show up to eat fancy food, dance, and show off. The hotel's all lit up with twinkly lights, and the inside looks like a palace. There's a giant chandelier hanging from the ceiling, sparkling like a million stars. People are everywhere, wearing shiny dresses and suits, laughing and talking loud. Music plays, soft and pretty, while waiters zoom around with trays of tiny snacks and fizzy drinks. It's the kind of night where everyone wants to be seen, and guess who thinks he's the star of the whole show? Yup, Victor Grayson, the rich guy with all the money. Victor struts into the hotel like he owns it. His suit is dark and sleek, and he's got a $1 million watch on his wrist that flashes every time he moves. It's so shiny you could use it as a mirror. He's barking orders at everyone, loud and bossy, like always. Hey, you, he yells at a waiter. Bring me something expensive to drink now. The waiter nods fast and runs off, scared to mess up. Victor loves that. He loves being the big shot, the guy everyone listens to. He's grinning wide, showing off his perfect teeth, thinking he's the coolest person in the room. People turn to look at him, some smile, some roll their eyes, but he doesn't care. He's here to be the king of the night, and he's soaking it all up. And there, by the big glass doors, is James. He's standing guard, same as always, in his red uniform with those shiny buttons. His hat sits straight on his head, and his boots are planted firm on the floor. He's quiet, watching the crowd with those sharp eyes of his. Nobody pays him much attention, they're too busy staring at Victor and all the fancy stuff going on. To them, James is just the guard, the guy who stands there and doesn't say much. Victor spots him, and that mean smirk creeps up his face again. He can't resist, he's gotta pick on James one more time. He walks over, all cocky and loud, his shoes clicking on the shiny floor. Hey, guard boy, he calls out, loud enough for everyone nearby to hear. Fetch me a drink. He points at James like he's a dog, expecting him to jump and run. The crowd chuckles a little, some people laugh because they think Victor's funny, others just because they're nervous. Victor crosses his arms, grinning, waiting for James to do what he says. But this time? Oh, this time is different. James doesn't stay quiet. He doesn't nod or stand still like before. Nope. He moves. Slow and steady, like a lion waking up, he steps forward. Just one step, then two. The crowd notices, and the chuckles stop. People turn to look. James reaches up with one hand and pulls off his guard cap. He holds it by his side, and his dark hair catches the light. The room goes silent, dead silent. You can hear the music still playing, but it's like everyone's holding their breath. Victor's smirk freezes. He blinks, confused. What's going on? James isn't supposed to move. He's supposed to obey. But James isn't obeying. Not tonight. Then James speaks. His voice cuts through the air, clear and strong, like a bell ringing loud. "I'm not your guard," he says. The words hit hard, bouncing off the walls. Everyone's eyes get big. Victor's mouth opens a little, like he's trying to say something but can't. James keeps going, calm but firm. "I'm Captain James Carter, head of the Royal Security Force. And you, Victor Grayson, just assaulted a state official." Boom. There it is, the big reveal. The room explodes with gasps. People step back, hands flying to their mouths. "What?" a lady squeaks. "No way," a man whispers. Victor's jaw drops so low it almost hits the floor. His fancy watch stops flashing because his arm goes limp. He's staring at James, eyes wide, like he just saw a ghost. Let's slow it down and see this moment. James is standing there, tall and proud, no cap now, just his uniform glowing under the lights. His face is steady, no smile, no fear, just strength. Victor's still frozen, his fancy suit looking silly now, like a costume that doesn't fit. The crowd's buzzing, whispering fast. "Captain James Carter," a guy says. "Royal Security Force," a lady adds. "What's that mean?" a kid asks, tugging his mom's dress. It's all sinking in. James isn't just some door guy. He's not a nobody. He's a big deal. A high-ranking officer, someone super important, working undercover. That means he's been pretending to be a regular guard this whole time, hiding who he really is. And why? To catch bad guys. To stop people doing sneaky, shady stuff. And guess who's at the top of that bad guy list? Yup, Victor Grayson. Victor's smirk is gone now. Totally gone. His face turns pale, like he just ate something sour and awful. He's not laughing anymore. He's not barking orders. He's just standing there, looking small for the first time ever. The crowd's staring at him now, not James. They're whispering louder, pointing. "He slapped him," a man says. "That's a state official," a lady gasps. "He's in big trouble," a kid giggles. Victor's brain is spinning, he can't believe it. All this time, he thought James was nothing. Just a guard to boss around, to slap and laugh at. But now he knows he messed up. Big time. James isn't done yet. He reaches into his jacket slow, calm, like he's got all the time in the world. The crowd leans in, holding their breath again. He pulls out that folder, the small brown one people saw him with before. It's thin, but it's heavy with secrets. He holds it up, just enough for everyone to see, then opens it. Papers rustle as he flips through them, his eyes locked on Victor. "This," James says, voice steady, "is proof of your shady deals, Victor Grayson. Stealing money. Breaking rules. Hurting people." The crowd gasps again, louder this time. "No," a lady squeaks. "He wouldn't," a man says, but he doesn't sound sure. Victor's hands start to shake. His $1 million watch jiggles on his wrist, but it's not cool anymore, it's just a thing that can't help him now. James keeps talking, clear and loud. "I've been watching you," he says. "For weeks. Months. Every mean thing you did, every sneaky trick you pulled, it's all here." He taps the folder with one finger, like it's a treasure chest full of trouble for Victor. The crowd's going wild now, whispering fast. "He's been undercover," a guy yells. "Investigating corruption," a lady adds. "And Victor's the bad guy," a kid cheers. It's all coming together. James wasn't just standing there to guard the door. He was watching Victor, collecting proof, waiting for the perfect moment. And this busy Friday night gala? This is that moment. Victor tries to talk. That's not true," he stammers, his voice all wobbly. "You can't prove anything." He's pointing at James, but his hand's shaking so bad it looks silly. James doesn't even blink. He pulls out one paper from the folder and holds it up. "This says you stole money from your own company," he says. "And this one? You paid people to lie for you." He flips to another page. "And this? You hurt workers who wouldn't do what you said." Every word hits Victor like a punch. His face gets paler and paler, like a ghost. The crowd's gasping with every page, leaning in to hear more. "He's done for," a man whispers. "All that money can't save him now," a lady says. Victor's sweating now. Big drops roll down his forehead, messing up his perfect hair. He looks around, wild-eyed, like a trapped animal. This is crazy, he yells, but nobody's listening. His buddies from the party step back, pretending they don't know him. I can't explain, he tries again, but his voice is weak. James shakes his head, slow and calm. No, Victor, he says. You can't talk your way out of this. Not anymore. He closes the folder with a snap, and that sound small but sharp makes Victor jump. The crowd's silent again, waiting. They know it's over for Victor. Money can't buy his way out of this. Let's zoom in even more. Picture the room, the chandelier's still sparkling, but now it's shining on James, not Victor. James stands tall, the folder in his hand like a weapon. His red uniform looks brighter now, prouder. Victor's slumped a little, his fancy suit wrinkled, his watch dangling loose. The crowd's all around them, a big circle of wide eyes and open mouths. Waiters freeze with their trays, forgetting to move. The music's still playing, but it's just background noise now. Nobody cares about dancing. All eyes are on James and Victor, the guard who's not a guard and the rich guy who's not so rich anymore. Victor tries one last time. You can't do this, he shouts, pointing at James. I've got money. I've got power. His voice cracks, sounding desperate. James looks at him, steady and strong. Not here, he says. Not now. You assaulted me, a state official. And this folder? It's going to the law. You're done, Victor. The crowd cheers, quiet at first, then loud. Yeah, a kid yells. Get him, a lady adds. Victor's face falls. He knows it's true. His money, his watch, his big talk, it's all useless now. James has the power, and Victor's got nothing. The big reveal is done. James isn't just some door guy, he's Captain James Carter, head of the Royal Security Force, a super important guy who's been undercover this whole time. He's been watching Victor, collecting proof of all his shady deals. And Victor? He's not the star of the show anymore. He's the bad guy who's about to lose everything. The crowd's buzzing, cheering, whispering. Victor's jaw is still dropped, his smirk gone forever. James stands tall, the folder in his hand, ready to finish what he started. Money can't save Victor now, no way, no how. This is the climax, and it's epic. Hey, everyone. We're at the big finish now, where everything gets wrapped up and justice comes swooping in. So, picture this, it's still that crazy Friday night at the hotel gala. The room's buzzing after James drops his huge reveal. He's not just a guard, he's Captain James Carter, head of the Royal Security Force. Victor's standing there, his jaw dropped, his fancy suit all wrinkled, looking like a kid who just got caught sneaking cookies. He's pale, sweaty, and shaking, trying to figure out what to say. This isn't real, he stammers, his voice all wobbly and weak. You can't prove anything. He's pointing at James, but his hand's shaking so bad it looks like it's dancing. He's desperate, trying to talk his way out, like he always does with his money and big words. But this time? Oh, this time, it's not gonna work. Before Victor can even finish his excuse, the doors burst open. Boom. In come the security, not the hotel guards in their little uniforms, but real officers. Big, tough guys in dark blue outfits, with shiny badges and serious faces. They move fast, like a swarm of bees, heading straight for Victor. The crowd gasps loud this time and steps back to watch. Cameras flash everywhere, little lights popping like fireworks. People pull out their phones, snapping pictures and videos, yelling, "Look! Look!" The officers grab Victor's arms, quick and strong. One pulls out a pair of shiny handcuffs, click, click, and snaps them on Victor's wrists. His $1 million watch gets stuck under the metal, and he winces like it hurts. You can't do this, he yells, his voice high and squeaky now. I'm Victor Grayson. I've got money. I've got power. He's twisting and pulling, but the officers don't care. They're tough, and they're not listening. The crowd's going wild. Get him, a kid shouts, jumping up and down. He's going to jail, a lady cheers, clapping her hands. The officers drag Victor toward the doors, his fancy shoe sliding on the shiny floor. He's yelling the whole way, "Let me go. This is a mistake. But nobody's buying it. Not anymore. His voice gets smaller as they pull him outside, fading into the night. Cameras keep flashing pop, 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 catching every second. People are running to the windows, peeking out to see Victor get shoved into a big black van with flashing lights on top. The doors slam shut, and just like that, he's gone. The big, loud Victor Grayson isn't the king of anything now, he's just a guy in handcuffs, heading for trouble. Inside, the gala's still buzzing, but it's a different kind of buzz now. People are talking fast, whispering, laughing even. He's done for, a man says, shaking his head. All that money, and look at him now, a lady adds, giggling. James stands there, calm as ever, watching it all. He's got that folder in his hand, the one full of proof about Victor's shady deals. He doesn't smile, doesn't cheer, just watches with those sharp eyes of his. The officers nod at him as they leave, like they're saying, "Good job, Captain." James nods back, small and steady, like always. He's not loud or showy, he doesn't need to be. He's the hero, and everyone knows it now. Victor's empire? Oh, it's falling apart fast. Word spreads like wildfire, Victor's in trouble, big trouble. By morning, the news is everywhere. TVs blare it out, billionaire Victor Grayson arrested. Newspapers slap his picture on the front page, with big letters saying, "Caught in shady deals." His company stocks those fancy numbers that show how rich he is, they crash hard. Down, down, down they go, like a ball rolling off a cliff. People who worked with him, his rich buddies and partners, they ditch him quick. "I don't know him," one says on TV, turning red. "Never liked him," another lies, hiding his face. Nobody wants to be near Victor now, he's not cool anymore, he's a mess. That slap he gave James, the one he bragged about? It's the most expensive mistake he ever made. It didn't just cost him money, it cost him everything. Back at the hotel, things are calming down. The gala's over, the fancy people go home, and the lights dim a little. James stays, though. He's still there, doing his job, but now everyone sees him different. The workers, the waiters, the cleaners, the cooks, they all come up to him later. They're the ones Victor used to yell at, the ones he bossed around and scared. They gather around James, quiet at first, not sure what to say. He looks at them, steady and calm, and speaks. His voice is simple, not loud, but strong. "Respect isn't for sale," he says. That's it, just those words. But they hit hard. The workers nod, some smiling, some with big eyes. They get it. Victor thought money could buy anything, even respect, but James showed him it doesn't work that way. Then, something cool happens. One waiter, a skinny guy with messy hair, starts clapping. Slow at first, clap, clap, clap. Then a cleaner joins in, then a cook, then more. Soon, all the workers are clapping, cheering loud for James. "Yeah, James," a lady yells. "You're the best," a guy adds. They're not scared anymore, they're happy. The guy they thought was just a guard turned out to be their hero. He didn't just stop Victor, he showed them they don't have to bow to mean people, no matter how rich they are. James doesn't say much, he just nods that tiny nod of his, but you can tell he's proud. Not loud proud, but quiet proud, the best kind. Let's zoom in a little. Picture the hotel lobby now, it's quieter, but warm. The workers are still there, some sweeping, some stacking plates, but they're smiling now. James stands by the doors, his red uniform bright under the soft lights. His buttons shine, his hat's back on, and he's watching the world outside. The crowd's gone, but the buzz is still in the air. People walking by peek in, whispering, "That's the guy who got Victor." Kids point, "He's a hero." Moms nod, "He sure is." James doesn't chase the attention, he just does his job. But everyone knows now, he's not just a guard. He's Captain James Carter, the guy who brought justice. Victor's world keeps crumbling. Days pass, and the news gets worse for him. His big houses, they're getting taken away. His shiny cars, gone. His company, it's falling apart, piece by piece. People who used to cheer for him now laugh at him. He thought he was untouchable, a man says on the street. Not anymore, a lady giggles. That slap, the one Victor bragged about to his buddies, it's the thing that ruined him. He thought it made him strong, but it made him weak. It showed the world who he really was, a mean guy who picked on the wrong person. And James. James turned it all around with that folder and his quiet strength. The hotel workers keep talking about James. He stood up for us, a waiter says, wiping a table. Victor yelled at me once for spilling water, a cleaner adds, but James stopped him for good. They're not afraid anymore. They work with their heads up now, proud to be there. James walks by sometimes, checking the doors, and they wave. Hi, Captain, a kid yells. He's the cook's son, hanging around after school. James waves back, small but friendly. He's their hero, and they'll never forget it. Outside, the city buzzes with the story. Victor Grayson's done, a guy yells, selling newspapers. Captain Carter saves the day, a lady reads aloud, smiling. People who saw it happen tell their friends, I was there. I saw Victor get dragged out. Kids play games about it, pretending to be James with his folder, cuffing the bad guy. Victor's name is mud now, nobody wants to be like him. But James. Everyone wants to be like James. Quiet, strong, fair, he's the real deal. Victor's in jail now, sitting in a little room with bars. No fancy suits, no $1 million watch, just a plain outfit and a frown. He's not yelling anymore, he's quiet, but not the good kind of quiet like James. He's mad, but he can't do anything about it. His money's gone, his power's gone, his empire's dust. That slap? It cost him everything. He thought it was a win, but it was the start of his fall. And James? James made sure justice was served, not with fists or shouts, but with truth and that folder. Back at the hotel, life keeps going. The workers laugh more, work better, feel stronger. James is still there, guarding the doors, but now they know he's not just a guard. He's their protector, their hero. Respect isn't for sale, he said, and they believe it. Victor's gone, his empire's crumbled, and justice won. That slap? The most expensive mistake ever. And James? The guy who made it right. The end for Victor, at least. But for James and the workers? It's a new start, and it's awesome. Hey, everyone. We've made it to the end of this wild story, and now it's time to think about what it all means. So, grab a comfy spot, because I've got something cool to share with you. Let's talk about what really happened here with Victor and James. It's not just a fun tale, it's got a big lesson, too, and I'm so excited to tell you about it. So here's the truth, the loudest guy in the room isn't always the strongest. Think about that for a sec. Victor was loud, super loud. He yelled at people, bragged about his money, and strutted around like he was the king of everything. His voice boomed, his fancy watch flashed, and he made sure everyone noticed him. He thought being loud and rich made him the toughest guy around. He thought it meant he could do whatever he wanted, like slapping James and laughing about it. To Victor, loud was strong. Money was power. And if you had those things, nobody could touch you. He was sure of it. He walked into that hotel gala thinking he was the star, the big boss, the guy who ruled the world. But then there was James. Quiet James. He didn't yell. He didn't brag. He didn't flash fancy stuff or boss people around. He just stood there by the hotel doors, day after day, in his red uniform with shiny buttons. Most people didn't even notice him, they walked right by, too busy looking at Victor and his shiny limo. James was the one everyone overlooked, the one they thought was just a guard. Nobody heard his voice much. Nobody saw him show off. He was so quiet, you'd think he wasn't important at all. Victor sure thought that. He laughed at James, called him guard boy, and figured he was weak because he didn't talk back or fight right away. To Victor, quiet meant small. Quiet meant nothing. But guess what? Sometimes, it's the quiet one, the one everyone forgets about, who changes everything. James didn't need to be loud. He didn't need $1 million watch or a big voice. He had something better, something stronger. He had courage. That's the stuff inside you that makes you stand tall, even when someone's mean or scary. James had it all along, hidden under that calm face and those sharp eyes. He didn't shout about it. He didn't show it off. He just waited, watched, and worked hard. When Victor slapped him, James didn't cry or run, he stayed. When Victor bragged, James didn't yell back, he planned. And when the time was right, James stepped up, pulled off his cap, and showed the world who he really was, Captain James Carter, a hero with a big job and a folder full of truth. Victor thought money ruled the world. He was sure of it. He believed his piles of cash could buy anything: fancy cars, big houses, even respect. He thought if you had money, you were the boss, and everyone else had to bow down. That's why he got so mad when James didn't bow. To Victor, money was everything. It was his shield, his sword, his crown. He waved it around like a magic wand, thinking it made him unbeatable. "I've got billions," he'd say, laughing. "Nobody can stop me." He slapped James because he thought money gave him the right to do it. He bragged because he thought money made him better than everyone else. In Victor's world, cash was king, and he was sitting on the throne. But James proved it's not money that counts, it's courage. Courage is what made him stand there, day after day, even after that slap. Courage is what kept him quiet but strong, watching Victor with those sharp eyes. Courage is what pushed him to step forward at the gala and say, "I'm not your guard, I'm Captain James Carter." He didn't need money to do that. He didn't need a limo or a fancy suit. All he needed was the guts to do what's right, to stand up to a mean guy like Victor and show the world the truth. That folder he carried, it wasn't full of cash, it was full of proof, built with hard work and bravery. And that's what beat Victor in the end, not a big bank account, but a big heart. Let's think about that. Victor was loud and rich, but he fell hard. His money didn't save him, his stocks crashed, his friends ran away, and his empire turned to dust. That slap he thought was so cool? It was the dumbest thing he ever did, and it cost him everything. James was quiet and steady, and he won big. He didn't need to shout, he just needed to be brave. The workers cheered for him, the crowd loved him, and he walked away tall. So who was really strong? Not the loud guy with the cash, but the quiet guy with the courage. That's the truth here, and it's a big one. Now, I've got a question for you. Yes, you, watching this right now. What do you think? Did Victor get what he deserved? Was it fair that he ended up in jail, with his money gone and his name all muddy? I want to hear your ideas. Drop them in the comments below. I'm gonna read every single one, I promise. Some of you might say, "Yup, he was mean, he had it coming." Others might think, maybe he didn't mean to be that bad. Whatever you think, tell me. I'm so excited to see what you say. Oh, and while you're at it, hit that subscribe button if you like this story, it helps me bring you more awesome stuff. Okay, let's keep going with this lesson, because it's super cool. Think about your own life for a minute. Ever meet someone who's loud and bossy, acting like they're better than you? Maybe they've got cool stuff like new shoes or a fancy phone and they wave it around, thinking it makes them the boss. Or maybe they just talk big, telling everyone what to do. It's easy to feel small when that happens, right? Like you're not as good because you're not loud or you don't have all that stuff. Victor made people feel that way all the time. He yelled at waiters, laughed at James, and acted like his money made him king. And lots of people believed it. They bowed down because they thought loud and rich meant strong. But here's the secret James showed us: you don't need to be loud to be strong. You don't need money to matter. Sometimes, the quiet kid, the one sitting in the back, not saying much, is the one with the real power. Maybe they're brave inside, like James. Maybe they're working hard, planning something big, waiting for the right moment. You can't see it at first, because they're not shouting about it. But when they step up, boom! They change everything, just like James did. Victor never saw it coming, because he was too busy looking at himself. He overlooked James, and that was his biggest mistake. So, next time someone looks down on you, remember this story. Maybe they're laughing because you're not loud, or you don't have the coolest stuff. Maybe they think you're weak because you're quiet or you don't fight back right away. Don't let that trick you. You might just be the one holding all the power, like James. You don't need to yell or show off, you just need courage. Stand tall, keep going, and wait for your moment. Victor thought he ruled the world with his money, but James proved him wrong with guts and heart. And you? You can do that, too. You've got your own spark inside, even if nobody sees it yet. When the time's right, you can shine just like James did. Let's imagine it for a sec. Picture you at school or home, and someone's being mean, acting big and loud. They're laughing, thinking they're better. You could get mad, yell back, try to be louder. But what if you stayed calm, like James? What if you worked hard, stayed brave, and showed them up in your own way? Maybe you help a friend, or ace a test, or stand up for what's right when it matters. You don't need to be loud to win, you just need to be you, strong and steady. That's the power James had, and it's the power you've got, too. Victor's sitting in jail now, all alone, no fancy stuff left. He thought money was his strength, but it wasn't. James is still out there, guarding the hotel, helping people, being a hero. He didn't need cash, he had courage, and that's what made him big. So, who's really strong? The loud guy who fell, or the quiet guy who stood tall? I think you know the answer. It's the one who doesn't give up, who doesn't need to shout to be heard. It's you, when you're brave. What do you think? Did Victor deserve it? Tell me below. And hey, keep this in your heart, next time someone tries to make you feel small, smile inside. You might be the James in your story, ready to flip everything around. You've got the power, quiet, strong, awesome power. See you in the next story, you amazing kids. Stay cool and stay brave.